What is up, guys? Delboy here. Hope you guys are doing well. A quick preview and prediction for Naoya Inoue versus Emmanuel Rodriguez. This fight is, of course, part of the Bantamweight World Boxing Super Series, and it takes place on the undercard of Josh Taylor versus Ivan Baranchyk. Of course, that fight being part of the Super Lightweight World Boxing Super Series tournament. So we have a great doubleheader here. One boxing fans can really look forward to. Two great fights, and fights I'm really looking forward to. But this video is about Inoue versus Rodriguez. Both the WBA Bantamweight title that is held by Naoya Inoue and the IBF Bantamweight title that is held by Emmanuel Rodriguez will be on the line, and the winner of this fight awaits Nonito Donaire in the final of the World Boxing Super Series. So there's a lot to play for here. And let's briefly talk about both fighters, their stats and general attributes. We will start with the favourite, Naoya Inoue. Now, Inoue is listed as 5'5" with a 67.5 inch reach, whereas Emmanuel Rodriguez is listed as 5'6" with a 66.5 inch reach. So Emmanuel Rodriguez has a 1 inch height advantage, but interestingly, despite Inoue coming up from lighter weight classes, he actually has a 1 inch reach advantage. And I was actually quite surprised by that when I saw it. But, that's what the recorded measurements are saying, so, it is what it is. The records of both guys are as followed. Naoya Inoue, his record is 17-0, and 15 of those 17 wins coming by way of knockout. Whereas Emmanuel Rodriguez, he has a record of 19-0, and 12 of those 19 wins coming by way of knockout. So Rodriguez has had more fights, but despite that, you would have to say Inoue is the more experienced fighter. If you look at some of the names on his resume, he's beaten guys like Omar Andreas Narvaez, he's beaten guys like Ryoshi Taguchi, Kohei Kono, and Jamie McDonnell. Whereas Emmanuel Rodriguez, his two best wins are a win over Paul Butler and also his last fight against Jason Maloney. They are his two best wins. And for me, Inoue is just proven at a higher level, and he's looked better at a higher level. Yeah, Inoue has been hit a few times here and there, but he's looked dominant throughout his reign, whereas Emmanuel Rodriguez already has shown a few vulnerabilities, we go back to his last fight with Jason Maloney, for example, where he really struggled with the pressure of Maloney. So, yeah, despite Rodriguez having more fights, I think Inoue is the more proven, more experienced fighter. And on top of that, he's the bigger puncher, longer reach, and I believe all of these factors could be relevant on fight night. But, let's briefly talk about how we feel this fight will play out. Stylistically, actually, this fight should be interesting. To me, Rodriguez is more of a classical boxer type. He's got really good straight punches, a lovely jab, good timing. He can lead really well with that right hand. Decent power, decent solid fundamentals, good feet, good counter-punching ability. Rodriguez is just a good, solid technician. In fact, I've said this before, he actually reminds me of a more fluid version of Kell Brook. That's the type of fighter I think he is. Good straight punches, good timing, good counter-punching, good feet. He's a good technician. And against aggressive fighters who, are sometimes open defensively, that style can have success. You could be using your opponent's aggression against him, timing him with that right hand coming in, and, countering effectively. Don't be surprised if Rodriguez finds the target regularly with his straight punches, with that jab, with that right hand. Don't be surprised, because yes, Inoue is a destructive fighter, great body puncher, great puncher in general, applies good pressure, cuts off a ring well. He does these things well, but sometimes coming forwards, he is defensively open. He does carry his hands low at times. I have seen him square up on numerous occasions, and if you could time him in these moments, he's there to be hit. So don't be surprised if Rodriguez finds the target fairly regularly, and maybe even outboxes Inoue in a few rounds. I wouldn't be shocked to see that, especially early on when he's fresh. But does Rodriguez have the strength, toughness, and just firepower to keep Inoue at bay for 12 rounds? That's the key question, and if I had a gun to my head, I would say no. I would say he doesn't have that type of strength, that type of punching power, that type of stamina to keep Inoue at bay for 12 rounds. I think he'll start really well in this fight. I think he might even surprise a few people. But as Inoue applies that pressure, as more and more punches start to get through, as Rodriguez starts to slow down, I think he will unravel, and that will give Inoue the chances he needs to get the knockout in this fight. Inoue applies pressure well, like I said. He cuts the ring off fairly well. He's got nice quick feet coming forwards. He's actually got good variation in his attack, with obviously sickening punching power. And I believe he has enough in the tank to break Emmanuel Rodriguez. We saw Rodriguez really struggle with Jason Maloney's pressure. Now, Jason Maloney, in hindsight, was probably underrated going into that fight, but regardless, he is no Naoya Inoue. He doesn't bring that type of pressure. He doesn't bring that type of punching power, and to be quite frank, he doesn't bring that type of boxing ability, because despite Inoue being an aggressive fighter, he can box also. He has got a really good jab. He does have good straight punches, and in spots I have seen Inoue box on the back foot and show different sides to his game. So to me, Inoue is levels above Rodriguez's last opponent, Jason Maloney, who obviously Rodriguez struggled with. Now, just because Rodriguez struggled with Maloney, it doesn't mean he can't give Inoue problems. It doesn't even mean he can't beat Inoue. You know, boxing maths doesn't work, but I just think this is a huge step up in comparison to Rodriguez's previous competition, if I'm being honest. And I'm not really sure Rodriguez has enough in the tank to win this fight. And I say this as someone who rates Rodriguez. I remember doing my prediction video for Rodriguez versus Paul Butler, and at the time in England, a lot of people were saying Butler could beat Rodriguez. I was one of the people saying no, Rodriguez is a very good talent and he will box Butler up, and that's what happened. It's not like I don't rate Rodriguez. I think he's a very good fighter. I just think Inoue, like most people do, is a special talent, and I expect him to win this fight. I believe he will knock Rodriguez out in the mid-rounds, but I do believe he will be made to work for it, and he will have some trouble along the way. You know, those snappy counter punches of Rodriguez, those straight punches, don't be surprised if a lot of those shots get through as Inoue is applying pressure. But I still expect Inoue to win this fight. But regardless, I am looking forward to it, and it will be competitive in my opinion. Maybe even one of Inoue's toughest fights to date. I do think it's a good fight. So yeah, I believe Inoue wins this fight by mid-round knockout. I'm fairly confident in that pick, but what do you guys think? I'm intrigued to read the comments to see how you guys feel about this fight, to see how you guys think it will play out. I've seen a few people online pick Rodriguez, but most people are picking Inoue. But yeah, share your thoughts below. I'm always intrigued to see what you guys have to say. In fact, that's one of the aspects I really like about my channel. I do get a great bunch of commenters, so shout out to you guys, especially the regulars. You know, we've got a good little community here, and I'm grateful for all your support. But yeah, I am intrigued to hear how you guys feel about this fight. But yeah, great fight, great card. Shout out to the World Boxing Super Series. They are delivering some great fights right now. So I hope this tournament goes from strength to strength and it's still here for years to come. Now, I've got my doubts whether it will be or not, but I hope it is. Share your thoughts below. Peace.